Hey now, everybody, what is up? Back here with another epic review. This being volume 1 of Generation X, Back to School, covering 1994 to 1995, the mid-90s period, written pretty much primarily by Scott Lobdell and also Fabian Nicieza. Back in the mid-90s, these two guys were like the only guys writing X-Men titles at the time. Maybe Peter David on X Factor. Maybe, no, actually Scott Lobdell also wrote a little bit of X Factor. I think J.M. DeMatteis, around this period, 94, 95. Pretty much X-Men, Uncanny X-Men, X-Force, Excalibur, Generation X. I think even Wolverine. Oh, no, I think Larry Hama did Wolverine. But all those other titles I mentioned were either written by Fabian Nicieza or Scott Lobdell. Yeah, good stuff. As always, Generation X covering Uncanny X-Men 316, 317, X-Men 36, 37, also 318 of Uncanny X-Men, then Generation X 1 through 9, and there's an Ashcan edition and a collector's preview, and also Wolverine 94, which I don't know why they included Wolverine 94 really. Didn't really do anything for the overall story. I mean, Generation X appeared a little bit. Wolverine comes to teach them how to use their powers, and then in the middle of the night he takes off because he found something called a token, which is like a wraith. But it really has no bearing in the overall Generation X story. But besides that, though, a really awesome book. I mean, I got to tell you, I really enjoyed the Phalanx Covenant, which was, like I said, Uncanny X-Men 316, 17, and X-Men 36, 37. So it's a 4-part series. Of course, that also continues in X Factor and X Factor 106, I'm going to say, and then X-Force number 38 and Excalibur number 32. That was, I think, Life Signs or Final Sanction. I could be wrong. And then it crossed over into like Cable something, and then Wolverine, I think Wolverine 86, Cable 35, I don't know. I can't remember off the top of my head. But it crossed over through all the X-Men titles and then eventually led to the formation of Generation X. But here we're only dealing with the X-Men and Uncanny X-Men titles. And then 318 is Jubilee finally leaving X-Men for Generation X. And I gotta tell you, I so cannot stand Jubilee. God, I hate Jubilee. She's so fucking annoying. She's like the worst written character ever. She's just annoying little bitch. I don't like girls like her, like Jubilee. Anyway, but we get to meet Husk, who is Paige Guthrie, Cannonball's sister, who oddly enough, it seems like in the Generation X title issues, they slowly try to phase out the fact that she's from Kentucky and has a southern accent, because it begins with her saying A-H-I, so like I, but it's like ah. And then she's starting to just talk normal. Instead of something, it's something. And they have her reading books and stuff. So Husk is not a hayseed like her brother Sam, which I didn't like. I would have liked them to keep that connection. But I guess I want to make her smart because I want to make her a leader of Generation X. Whatever. But we have Jubilee, we have Husk, we have Skin, otherwise known Angelo Espinosa, otherwise known as Skin, who's in East LA, from East LA. He's a Spanish kid from the barrios. So I guess he's Puerto Rican, I don't know, Mexican, whatever. There's also Monet, another one who I just can't stand because she's Little Miss Perfect. Monet St. Croix, M. Her nickname is so not interesting. We have Everett Thomas, who's a black dude from St. Louis, otherwise known as Sync. We have Mondo the Samoan, who is not on the team just yet, but he's in the background with Emma Frost's sister Cordelia. Sean Cassidy Banshee is the headmaster. Emma Frost, the former White Queen of the Hellfire Club, is the headmistress. Of course, she's a big old cunt, but she's actually cool. I actually like her. And Sean, they have kind of like a love-hate thing going there. So they're dealing with the Phalanx. The Phalanx is trying to assimilate all mutants into the collective hive mind of the Phalanx, and of course they lose. Sean, Emma, and some members of Generation X here and there, and Sabretooth managed to defeat the Phalanx somehow. Blink, Clarice Ferguson, actually helped them against the Phalanx. She actually sacrificed herself to save them. It's funny, she was a member of Generation X without really being in the book itself of Generation X. Her involvement happened during the Phalanx Covenant in the X titles. But of course, she comes back. They had her in the Age of Apocalypse soon after. Like right after issue 4 of Generation X, they go into the Age of Apocalypse, and that became Generation Next for 4 issues, and then it came back to Generation X with issue 5. They're fighting. Of course, the very first issue is like 40 pages long, and they fight M-Plate. M-Plate, who has like these long nails, and he's got like this mouth in his hand, and he's going after Chamber. That's another one I forgot. Jonathan Starsmore, Chamber, joins the team, and M-Plate's going after him in issue 1. Then Penance with the razor sharp nails, who is partly M-Plate and I guess partly Monet St. Croix. She's Yvette from Yugoslavia. I just found out, I read the Ashcan issue, the Ashcan edition, saying that she's from Yugoslavia, but she doesn't speak. There's a lot of non-essential people in this book, and I can see why they got rid of them eventually. I mean, they should have gotten rid of them like now. There's no need for Mondo at the moment. Penance, Monet, she's useless. I don't know why. Again, I don't know why they want to get rid of Paige Guthrie's Southern accent, but Jubilee's just so fucking annoying. But they fight the G Nation in issue 5 and 6, and that actually they eventually cross over into Uncanny X-Men. Was it 324 and 5? I'm talking about G Nation. Marrow, who eventually becomes an X-Man. I don't know why. And G Nation was apparently created by Dark Beast in the Age of Apocalypse as an offshoot from the Morlocks. The Morlocks from the Age of Apocalypse time. And then Cassidy Keep disappears. I've noticed one thing, that Generation X starts as like a serious X-Men title, and then it becomes like a silly, goofy teen book. Like already with issue 7, 8, 9, it's now like a little goofy title where they go, they go look for Cassidy Keep, which has been sucked into a pocket dimension, and they deal with elves and trolls, and it's rather self-effacing, the book. It sees itself as a teen book, like a teen soap opera comic book, along the lines of like 90210 in a way, Beverly Hills 90210, for those of you who don't know who I'm talking about. And it works in some cases and it doesn't. I would say Generation X is slightly above Excalibur, but maybe it's too early to say. I don't know. But I actually enjoyed this first volume. I look forward to what the second one has in store. That's going to be M-Plate's Revenge, Volume 2. So we'll see. I'm going to hold off my opinion just a little bit. This was pretty good. Some things here and there need some fine-tuning, if you will. But for the most part, it's a good read. Again, this is from Wolverine 94. They could have removed this, and the collector's preview, they didn't need to include it in the mention in the back cover or in the table of contents. Like it's like a giant extra magazine in the back of the book. Not technically a comic book, which is why I didn't include it in the communities tab. I stopped after issue 9 of Generation X, so just to keep it simple. But overall, my first entry into Generation X, I like it. I like the artwork. Oh no, actually no, I'm not a fan of Chris Bachalo. I guess that's his name. But the first couple issues, and probably because of Mark Buckingham as the inker, it's actually pretty decent. It's not as like I noticed Chris Picciolo likes to draw all the characters with really huge noses, and like their eyeballs are like this big and their heads are like this long. Kind of like me, I don't know, in a way. No, but I like my face. So, but you know what? I'm just saying that like Chris Picciolo just seems to draw really odd figures and shapes, which I don't like personally. But to each his own, I guess. But Scott Lobdell does all of the writing practically. Larry Hama did Wolverine 94. Fabian Nicieza did the X-Men 36, 37. And then pretty much it's all Scott Lobdell. Uncanny X-Men 316, 317. Generation X 1 through 9. And that's pretty much it. Can't really complain. Love the use of colors. I love the mid-90s use of like colors and inks, and they're stepping outside the boundaries of the panels. Even though like the smell of the book. The book is not glossy. It's matte paper. So it's just or like newsprint paper. Look at this. Like Marrow. Oh yeah, Joe Madureira. There's also an excerpt of X-Men Prime I forgot to mention because it sets up G Nation's upcoming storyline with Generation X. Dark Beast, Henry McCoy, who created, I don't know if you guys can see, who created G Nation. He's a bad dude. I remember also Sugar Man. Sugar Man was another character from Age of Apocalypse that managed to cross over. And yeah, all the kids are falling in love. Like Husk, Paige is falling in love with Chamber. Who else? Who else is falling? Well, Sean and Emma were falling in love, but they're old. Penance kind of is falling in love. Like she has a bit of a quiet crush on Banshee. Oh yeah, Skin. I don't like him either. Like I don't know how to read him. I know he's from like East LA, the barrios of East LA, but I don't want to say, "Hey, Bato Loco, what's up? My name is Angelo Espinosa, Skin." I just read him like, "Hey, I'm Skin. Yeah, chica." And he speaks a lot of Spanish. He says like "muy bueno, chicas" and "muchachos," and it's so annoying. This Spanglish he uses. It's like, I can't really tell Paige and Emma apart. Like in some instances, you get this. Like this is Emma. No, this is Paige actually, but it looks like Emma Frost. So I don't know whether I should use a Southern accent or a British accent. You know? Oh yeah, they say that she's actually Emma Frost is from Boston, but I'm like, nah. I'm going with British. I don't give a fuck about January Jones's portrayal in the movies. Fuck that bitch. I go with like Finola Hughes, who played Emma Frost in the Generation X 90s TV movie. Look that up, by the way, guys. There actually was a Generation X TV movie on Fox back in 1996. So like 2 years after Generation X premiered, they actually did a TV movie. It was Marvel's first attempt at trying to do some kind of property that wasn't a Dolph Lundgren Punisher or Matt Salinger Captain America. Something. They were trying to do something that wasn't like a Roger Corman Fantastic Four kind of mess. Yeah, so look that up. What else am I missing? I don't know. Jubilee's kind of yellowish because she's Asian, and it's kind of racist, but I don't give a fuck. Like, whatever. I know what's his name? Curtis from Epic Marvel Podcast, because he's Asian, has a problem with it. Get over it, dude. Okay, just get over it. It's not about you. That's it, guys. I don't know. Kids being kids, playing foosball before they head out to Cassidy Keep. Wolverine shows up. Oh, this is all Wolverine 94. I love the art. Chris Alexander does it. Yeah, and this is Mondo. Mondo, who does absolutely nothing right now. He's just in the background. Oh yeah, the Fairy Queen, the Grand Dam. It's really dumb. It does get kind of silly and dumb. It's like it ends with a fairy tale when they go into the dimension. Issues 8 and 9, the last 2 issues, they go into a fairy tale realm where there's fairies, trolls, and elves just to find Cassidy Keep. But whatever. All right, guys, that's Back to School, Volume 1 of Generation X. I will get started with reading Volume 2 starting tomorrow, and we'll see. All right, guys, have a happy New Year, guys. This is the last review of this year, and the next one will be in a couple days in the new year. So stay tuned, guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.